no place like the Cube. Family, it's your favorite queer radio personality, Anna DeShawn, and this is Queer News, your favorite weekly news pod where race and sexuality meet politics, culture, and entertainment. Okay, now as promised, I am continuing to address comments you left for me in the survey, and yes, the peoples left lots of comments, and I ain't mad about it, okay? I'm just sharing because y'all took the time, and so I am going to take the time. The next one I want to address are comments about the intro song and the music that's played. So at the beginning of this year, I did decide to X the song. I don't think you all have heard it. You shouldn't have heard it this year. It was a carryover from a radio show I used to do. I love the beat. I love the hook. It's a great track, but I just didn't think we needed it anymore. So we was on the same page about that. And then the next piece was about the music. I know I've heard that sometimes some folks feel like the music was too loud. And I understand. Most podcasts don't have music underneath. Folks just talking, and that's cool, but I come from a radio background, child, and we have music beds, and I love it. I feel like it helps to move the pod along. I feel like it helps to emote emotion and feeling of a particular story. And since I'm the only host here, it's sort of like my co-host. We like partners in this thing. So I hope that you've heard us turn the music down just a little bit. In radio, you know, the music be up, okay? We be up. But for the pod, I hope you've heard that we have turned it down a bit. I'm not going to get rid of the music, but we have turned it down, and I hope y'all are enjoying it. So I appreciate y'all's comments. I'm going to have more next week, okay? And I appreciate y'all working with me on that one. Now, family, the next thing is I want to invite you to drop me a queer news tip. The queer news tip line is open. It is open and it is open. And you can get the link in the show notes, okay? I want to report on stories that don't make it to the news, don't make it on a blog, don't make it to social media. I know so many things are happening locally, and I'd love to amplify them here on the pod. QCrew, what's going on? We had one new member join us in February. Please let us all welcome Reginald. Yes. Let's welcome Reginald, boom, 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 to the QCrew. And family, be on the lookout for a special interview drop tomorrow, only for the QCrew, all right? I had the opportunity to talk with Juju Bay. Juju is an Oshun priest, a podcaster, spiritual advisor, and community friend. She's currently starring in the Hulu series Living for the Dead. I'm not sure if y'all have seen that. I definitely talked about it on the pod, but it's where a group of queers help the living by healing the dead. Now, Juju is their resident witch, okay? We had a wonderful conversation about her journey and about her new book that's coming out. It's called The Book of Juju, which is set to drop in spring of this year. And I think y'all will really enjoy our chat. If you're listening to this and you're not part of the QCrew, let's go, okay? The QCrew helps us supplement the cost of this here pod, hosting, editing, marketing, PR, travel, Chile. It's a lot, okay? So if you believe in the work we do, if you believe LGBTQ stories need to be amplified, if you love and respect how I report on the news and tell our stories, join the QCrew. The link is in the show notes. Now, for the news. Our top story is about the country's first federal hate crime about gender identity that took place in South Carolina. I'm going to give a Nex Benedict update as well, all right? And in politics, Ghana passed an anti-LGBTQ bill where queer folks could be imprisoned. That happened. While in Arizona, they tried to pass an anti-trans measure and it didn't work. Woo woo, how about that? In culture and entertainment, Laverne Cox has dropped part 2 of her TripHopera. We've got a Queer Eye replacement for Bobby. And the Universal Pictures trailer for Wicked has dropped, and I see Cynthia Erivo. Yes, I do, in all that green, because she is set to play the Wicked Witch of the West. Come on, y'all, let's get into this news. Let's go. For our top news story for this week, it's coming out of South Carolina. Last week, they went down in the history books as the first state to hear a federal gender-based hate crime trial. Not until this trial had a hate crime ever made it to the federal level. Interestingly enough, this was able to happen in South Carolina because it has yet to pass any hate crime law at all. So by default, it becomes a federal case. There are only 2 states in the country left to pass a hate crime law: South Carolina and Wyoming. And you want to know what's really wild here is that Wyoming is the state where Matthew Shepard was murdered. You would think they would have been one of the very first states to pass a hate crime law. But I digress. Back to this story. On Friday, Dequa Ritter was found guilty of killing Dime Doe 5 years ago. Dime was a Black trans woman who her friends say had a larger-than-life personality. She could always be found keeping people laughing. They say she was never a sad person, that she was always energetic and you could barely ever catch her mad. Well, this trial lasted a total of 4 days, y'all. 4 days. And throughout the trial, we learned that Dequa and Dime had a relationship, okay? But Dequa had a girlfriend. Y'all see where this is going. Word got out in their small town about Dequa and Dime's relationship. Of course, the girlfriend found out. Then to stop the rumors, Dequa decided he was going to kill Dime. We've seen this over and over and over again. They like to call it trans panic defense. We know that's just a bunch of BS. And at the end of the day, he was just being evil. Well, Dequa was found guilty of murder. He was found guilty of using a firearm in connection with the fatal shooting and found guilty of obstructing justice. He has not been sentenced yet, but he's facing life in prison without parole. I hope Dime's family and loved ones feel some type of closure in all of this. Our next story today is an update on Nex Benedict. Last Monday, February 26th, 40 students at the Oswego High School where Nex attended walked out of class to protest the school's bullying policy. Yes, they did. One of the student organizers, their name is Kane, they said this: "There's been bullying issues at school. This time, the bullying has gone so far that a student has passed away. To me, it doesn't matter if Nex passed from a traumatic brain injury or if they passed from suicide. What matters is the fact that they died after getting bullied. And that is the story for so many other students. I've been close to ending it myself because of bullying. It's not new for so many students." If that doesn't just break your heart, I don't know what would or could. You feel me? And now, due to just the sheer outpouring, the Department of Education has opened an investigation into whether the Oklahoma School District failed these other students by not responding appropriately to sex-based harassment. Now, this complaint came from HRC, of course, the largest LGBTQ advocacy organization in the country. In this complaint, HRC also asked the Department of Education to determine whether the Oklahoma School District violated Title IX, right? We all know Title IX, the landmark civil rights case that protects people from gender-based discrimination in education programs funded by the federal government. HRC's President Kelly Robinson said this: "We appreciate the Department of Education responding to our complaint and opening an investigation. We need them to act urgently so there can be justice for Nex, and so that all students at Oswego High School and every school in Oklahoma can be saved from bullying, harassment, and discrimination." Family, we'll keep giving updates about Nex Benedict's case. That's what we do. That's why Queer News exists. The mainstream media has moved on, but we will not, because our community has not. You feel me? Absolutely. Family, now in political news, Ghana has passed another piece of anti-LGBTQ legislation, all right? The president still needs to sign it, and they're saying he probably won't do so because there's an election in December and he ain't trying to be about that life. But at the end of the day, this piece of legislation has a lot of support, and the president already said gay marriage won't be a thing while he's president. This particular piece of legislation outlaws LGBTQ sexual acts, as well as anyone who promotes the rights of LGBTQ folks' identities in Ghana. But in local political news, I actually have some positive news to share. Can you believe it? I know, it's kind of hard to believe, which is also kind of sad. But let's get into it. In Arizona, an anti-trans bill was sent to the Senate floor for a final vote. Well, during this time, Democratic senators are reading statements from parents and community leaders, trans youth who will be impacted by the bill. And then all of a sudden, a Republican, Senator Bennett, voted no. He voted against his party and against this bill being put out to the voters in November. What? Yes, he did. He voted no, y'all. Can't believe it. But we receive it, okay? We're going to take this good news and run with it. Thank you to all the activists, all of the lobbyists, all the people fighting on behalf of LGBTQ folks in Arizona. Y'all got to win, okay? You got to win on the board. Now let's take a quick break and we'll be back with culture and entertainment.
If you're hearing this, it means we didn't sell this ad space. If you're hearing this, it means running ads on our podcast actually can work. You see what I did there? You see this real life example? You got an event, do you have an organization, do you got something you need to get the word out about? We got rates starting as low as $100. Check the link in our show notes for more information.
Family, welcome back. Now it's time for culture and entertainment. Leading the way this week is Laverne Cox. And I don't know why I don't get to talk about Laverne Cox more, but today is the day, okay? Laverne has dropped Gretchen, a TripHopera Part 2. Okay, if you missed Part 1, start there and then go to Part 2. I watched a video where Laverne talks about what a TripHopera is. It is her fusion of hip hop and opera. She's always wanted to be an opera star. She wanted to be a hip hop music artist. And so she has brought these two things together and created a TripHopera. Now, Laverne says that this video is based off the mythical 18th century story of Faust and Gretchen. I'm gonna be real with y'all. I don't know what Faust and Gretchen is all about, but here's what Laverne has to say. She says, in my version, Faust is actually Fausto. And instead of Gretchen being tormented by her desire for him, it is Fausto who is tormented by his desire for her. She's the seductress. The video is hot, child. I watched it. Now, Laverne goes on to say that this video was inspired by straight men who hide their attraction to trans women. Big ups to Pink News because they provided some information here that I just did not know. Did y'all know Pornhub does reviews and reports? They sure do. They keep the data, okay? Now, they revealed that boomers, people over the age of 55, are 58% more likely to be interested in trans porn than younger viewers of pornography. That's right, and you already know where these folks are located, don't you? In Republican-led states where all of this anti-trans legislation originated. Of course, right? Of course. Laverne went on to say that she's making music because it's a way for her to artistically express herself and have full control over the medium, and it helps to get her mind off of everything going on. And so go check it out. You already know the line. The link is in the show notes. For our next story, there has been a replacement named on the Queer Eye. Y'all know we reported that Bobby Burke was not going to be returning for this next season, child. There was a lot of drama. Him and Tan had some drama. Bobby went on to say that he thought all of them were leaving in some type of solidarity effort, but everybody else changed their mind and Bobby wasn't willing to. All in all, Bobby's not coming back. And Netflix just named the replacement, and you all know him. Yes, you do. His name is Jeremiah Brent. When I first saw the picture, I said, this face looks so familiar. Where do I know him from? Of course, he's Nate Berkus' husband. Of course, that's why he looks familiar. Y'all know They've had numerous shows. Nate Berkus grew to fame after being on Oprah and being a part of the Oprah train. Okay, they've had 2 HGTV shows. He's had his own show. Child, they've been all over television. So I feel like Jeremiah is more than equipped to fit in with the Fab Five and continue with the beautiful design work that Bobby would do in transforming people's lives on this show. Now, we wait to see if they've got chemistry. You know, if it seems awkward on television, we will see. But all in all, he should be a fantastic replacement on Queer Eye. They start filming in the spring, and this season is going to be based in Las Vegas. That should be fun. And for our last culture and entertainment story for today, the Wicked trailer has dropped on YouTube. Go check it out. Cynthia Erivo is starring as the Wicked Witch of the West, and she is looking fabulous, okay, in all that green. We know Cynthia came out in 2022 as bi, and on the low, we know her and Lena Waithe got a whole situation, okay? So we are in support of this whole move. Cynthia's voice is amazing, and this film is actually going to be broken up into 2 parts, which I think is pretty dope. It's not set to drop until November, but go watch the trailer and get into it, okay? We here to support all the fam. Yes, we are. Family, it's that time for Anna's Word, because Anna's always got a word. And today's word is really coming from my heart. It hit me that February was actually my 3-year anniversary of being a full-time entrepreneur. 3 years, y'all. I survived, okay? 40% of businesses do not survive after the 3rd year, and we're still here. I'm still figuring it out. I'm still making a lot of mistakes. I'm still making a lot of really great moves. I have never experienced so much triumph and so much disappointment in such a short period of time. But that is the journey of entrepreneurship. And so if anyone is listening to this who's thinking about being an entrepreneur, thinking about doing your own thing, thinking about turning your passion into your full-time situation, know this: you can do it. It's possible. Be ready to take the risks. Be ready to be vulnerable. Be ready to be scared. And then be ready to release all of it. Release the fear. Because this experience has been the most liberating I have ever had in my life. Lean into the passion, lean into your call, because it is there that you will be in your zone of genius. And why waste time being anywhere else? Till next week, family. Peace. If you've enjoyed what you heard, rate and review us inside your favorite podcasting app. This podcast is written and produced by me, Anna DeShawn. Podcast editing by Ryan Woodhall, and brought to you by E3 Radio and distributed on The Cube. We are Queer News Done Right.